the country that created Mario Kart, has a problem with a green turtle shell causing chaos in their airport.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Small Talk Japan. On this show, we talk about all things Japan in English. My name is Mitch, my co-host.
Alex, hello.
And today we got a great show for you. We got a lot of stories to talk about, so let's get right into it. The first story that we're going to go to today is about Japan's universities tighten background checks on foreign students. Now, this is an interesting story because of, we came here as foreign, exchange teachers.
Yeah.
But, when you go to, and where we particularly live here in Japan, there's not so many foreign students, but there are some. But in Tokyo, there's tons of foreign students. And apparently, what's the number? 280,000. That's over a quarter million foreign students in Japan. And over 40% of these are coming from mainland China. And so officials, I think, are a little worried about the security risk about that because they're talking about, let's see, where is this? It's the survey collected responses from 56 universities, including those having student exchange agreements with Chinese universities known as the Seven Sons of National Defense, which have close ties to China's defense industry.
Okay. So spying, right?
So yeah, so basically, Japanese universities are trying to weed out Chinese spies. Should really be the title of this news story. But they can't say that, but that's what it is. And it's hilarious to me because I don't know, Alex, how much spying do you think is coming through exchange students like this?
Well, I mean, when I went to university, I spent 3 years basically in a pub getting drunk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't really get much information from anyone.
Oh, so what we should do, so how to weed out the spies is to find the students that actually go to the pub. And they're like, okay, you guys are cool.
Yeah. You're all right. And then the ones who are actually studying, you've got to penalize them.
The ones that have an inordinate amount of communication equipment in their room.
Yeah.
It's now.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Well, they're all on TikTok now, though, anyway, aren't they? So,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think spying works this way anymore. It's not like the 007, mole in the hole, tapping out a secret message to your friend. They just, go to social media.
Just hacking, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
Surely they just hack into the university computers and just steal everything from there.
I guarantee you that the defense of Japanese computer networks is zero. If you wanted to hack everything in Japan today, you easily could.
I've seen so many people with Post-it notes with the password on the monitor. This is still a thing, even though you tell people not to do it.
You had to do a thing in the prefecture the other day, and they had to contact you on the Zoom computer.
Yeah, because they only had one. Yeah, that's shared between everybody on the floor, so that's about 150 people.
With the one Zoom computer?
With one Zoom computer.
Wait, if they all have to Zoom at the same time, do they just all crowd up in a big corona, COVID, what is it, social distancing situation?
Yeah, I guess it's like a kind of a festival vibe going on there.
The webcam.
Yeah.
There was a story about a couple years ago. The head of the cybersecurity in Japan was giving a speech and answering questions in front of the Diet. And suddenly, his answers seemed to, not jive with what computer networks do. And people are like, do you know what the hell you're talking about? And so they quizzed him, right? And it's this 80-year-old some whatever guy. And he's like, to tell you the truth, I've never used a computer in my life, and I've never used email.
Yeah, he had somebody to do it for him, right?
Yeah, he's the head of cybersecurity in Japan. And after that, all the headlines are Japan minister says that he is the most secure cybersecurity leader because he doesn't use a computer. And you're like, wow.
Mind you, there's a new digital transformation division in the government. And
my God, did you see the infographic?
Yeah. So the woman that's leading it tweeted something and she used a stock image with the kind of Pixter, watermark across it.
She stole an image.
Stole it off a Japanese stock image site, and the CEO of that company tweeted her and said, "Yeah, you're not allowed to do that." So
the best part of that presentation, if you guys aren't, for those who are unaware, so Japan made this, let's just call it bureaucratic red tape on the internet agency, where they literally have an infographic that shows two versions of the internet, and one is internet in chaos. And it's got all these servers that are communicating like a web because it's freaking web. That's how it works. And they're like, look at this pristine model that we made over here where all the companies go through a centralized government server and then out to the other companies after that. And you're like, that's not going to make anything better. It's going to make everything so much worse. It's going to be like the great bottleneck of Japan.
No, thank you to, government involvement in web.
One of the big reasons to live here is the internet. The internet here is amazing.
It's very fast, yeah.
Right? If you guys screw up the internet, we're out of here. We're gone. Maybe.
Yeah, to where Korea, they've got good internet.
We can get Starlink though.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Elon Musk thing.
Yeah, just go straight to space.
Yeah. Screw you.
Yeah.
Japanese agency. What are they going to do when that happens?
I don't know. Somebody else put a big shield across the top of Japan so the signal bounces back down again.
Like a modern version of Sakoku. Sakoku, the isolation period, just like dome it off.
Like a net bubble. Yeah.
Didn't The Simpsons do that?
Maybe.
I think they did. They blocked out the sun. Burns did. It was like a plot point.
Right, okay.
This has done everything. Okay, let's move on. So, Japan, good luck in weeding out foreign spies by being more stringent with Chinese students.
Well, if they're good spies, you're not going to find them anyway. So.
If I was China and if I thought like the foreign exchange student angle was the way to go for spying, right? It's not, but let's say it is. In that situation, I would just go into like Nepal or the Philippines and find recruits there, pay them crazy money because China's rich as crap right now. Be like, here's $1 million for your family. Come and spy in Japan and pretend not to be Chinese because you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would they get caught?
Yeah. True.
Right.
Yeah. If you're Chinese national, it's pretty obvious, right?
Right. But see, the real thing is like, listen to me here, Japan Security Agency, whoever's in charge. They're not coming in through the universities. All of the individuals in Japan are uploading TikTok videos like every single day to the TikTok server, which is owned and operated by the the Chinese military, basically. So they're giving you location data. They're giving you like spatial awareness. All the spying that you ever needed to know is all going on TikTok. You want to stop the spying? Get rid of TikTok. But, we love our TikTok. I love TikTok. Dude, I'm so addicted to TikTok these days.
I don't use it, man. It keeps showing me the same thing over and over again.
Boobies.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, it's cool as long as they're, appropriately aged. My thing is like TikTok content generators tend to be really young, too young. All right, Alex, go to our next story.
All right, cool. We've got one about COVID. So Japan's donating 30 million additional doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. And these are all AstraZeneca doses that they've actually made domestically.
Yeah, they started producing them domestically like almost at the beginning of the year, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So they've obviously got a surplus, and they're giving 30 million of these to people in other countries. So
that's really good. I think the top 3 nations that are giving out the vaccines to poorer countries are the United States, obviously, China, who's giving out Sinovacs, which I guess if you didn't have access to anything else, cool. And then AstraZeneca from Japan are the 3 big ones.
Isn't England in it as well? UK.
I think the UK's in. There's like I think most of the Western countries are in some giant program where they're all doing it together. I think the United States is also part of that.
Right.
UK was you guys, your vaccination rate was one of the highest and one of the fastest. I think it's like Israel and I forgot like the top 3, but the UK is always up there.
Yeah. So we rock. Yeah, we're great.
We're great.
My parents actually had the AstraZeneca one first.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they do the mix and match thing?
No, it's all AstraZeneca all the way. Yeah, so they're gonna have the 3rd shot next month.
You had a visceral reaction to the 2nd shot. Are you gonna go for the 3rd?
I don't know. I'd rather not, but I guess maybe I have to. I actually had a bad reaction to the Moderna virus vaccine. Sorry. So after about 10 minutes after I was injected with that, I went really dizzy.
Can you get your booster from Pfizer or something different?
I could try that, but I don't know what caused the first one. I did go to the hospital, but they didn't have any information about it. So.
Yeah, they say that like most of the reactions to the mRNA vaccines happen within the first, I forgot what it is, like few months. So if it doesn't have, if you like get out like the first maybe it's the first couple of weeks or something like that. So if you get out of that, you're basically good.
Yeah, I think the first one wasn't so bad for me, so I didn't really have any problems. Bit of arm pain. Yeah. And then the second one, after I had it done, about 15 minutes later, I felt really dizzy.
Yeah.
And I never had that before with any kind of injection. So I was like going to the nurse, going, "Hey, I'm not feeling so good." And she goes, "Okay, can you stand up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "How are you feeling now?" I was like, "Well, a little better." She goes, "Yeah, just go home." So I was like, what? Wait a minute. They need to check.
Because most of the reactions to the mRNA vaccines, I think, are mostly in older people. I think they're probably just worried about that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So a young strapping man like you, actually, they're like, go home, you samurai. You're fine.
Yeah, it wasn't, though. Terrible.
But they say that if you, I forgot what some news was talking about, like, depending on your reaction to the vaccine could mean that you would have had a really bad reaction to the virus or something like that.
That's possible, but I mean, at the end of the day, I had kind of shortness of breath and like palpitations in my chest and stuff like that.
I think that's just because you're raging at work, man. I think you're just stressed out.
Maybe. But I want to get it checked out anyway, right?
Yeah, next one, just get Pfizer and see. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can mix and match some. I mean, like, one of our teachers who's living in Canada right now because we're waiting to ship him in, he got Pfizer Moderna or Moderna Pfizer. One of those. He mixed and matched. They thought there was some benefit to doing that, but they turned out that apparently the best case scenario for Delta is 2 Modernas.
Right, okay.
It's best case, and then obviously a third booster afterwards. And that booster, I think, is actually pretty necessary because some of our teachers needed to do something that were maskless the other day. And so we gave them antibody tests and antigen tests just to see if they were currently infected, just make sure. And of course they weren't. But one of the persons that was involved in this, in what they were doing, was a medical student who had been injected with Pfizer months ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe 6 or 7 months ago or something like that. Maybe 6 months ago. And if you look at it's a little, blood test, and then you get a little line, just, if you have antibodies in your system.
Mm-hmm.
The two that got their shots recently had strong antibody lines.
Right.
The one that got it months ago, he had a line, but it was kind of faint.
Right, okay.
So there is a diminishing return. Whether or not that protects you from the virus, I'm no scientist. I don't know. I'm just saying that there is a difference, it seems.
I think the only thing I would say is that don't go to a mass vaccination center. I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's better to get it at a hospital, where you're going to get decent care. Because at the end of the day, you are injecting yourself with something that is tested, but tested over a relatively short span of time, and also has the agenda of needing to be pushed out quickly.
Well, it was before, but not now. I mean, everything's got full approval. I think even in your country and my country as well.
But regardless of that, if some people are reporting having side effects and they're not being taken seriously, that's a big problem.
Well, I'll back you up on the go to a doctor thing because I went to a hospital to get mine, and then other staff members of our company went to a mass vaccination site, and just the level of care. So if you're able, obviously, obviously vaccination is the most important thing, but if you're able, go to an actual local healthcare provider.
I think the only thing is you've got to be a bit careful is that people, as soon as they think that you're going to say something anti-vaccine or something like that, everybody goes mental on you. But
it's been politicized, especially in America, right?
Yeah, so. But if you've got genuine concerns about it, you should talk to a medical professional. You know what I mean? But most of them don't have the time to talk to people.
That is the big sites anyway.
So there's no education and there's no care, which is a bad combination of,
but
trust.
It's also a one-off thing, right? Because once we get over this pandemic, it's like if you need to get a COVID vaccine in the future, it's going to be like one-off kind of thing. Like it's been until now for regular vaccines. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Study rewrites understanding of modern Japan's genetic ancestry. Okay, before we jump into this is like vaccines are for Trump supporters. This is a hot topic news issue because let me give you a little anecdote. 14 years ago, I was sitting in an office of educators at a board of education, and I was talking about the immigration of the world's immigration, right, over years. We all know that the cradle of life was in Africa, right? The first, we call it the genetic Adam and Eve, came from Africa, and then you see all of the world's migration, that's the right word, migration, going up through Asia, coming over to Europe, and going down through the bottom of Africa, and all that stuff. You can look this up. It's pretty well understood, and we figured this out through genetic mapping, right? That if a person in, let's say England, I think this is true, don't quote me on this, but a person in England, they have genetic markers that are related to the Chinese. So they think that the migration went from Africa through Upper Asia to England, to Europe and England. So we know that that's where these lines came, how these people moved around. When I was explaining this to a room full of supposed educators 14 years ago in Japan, I got the weirdest response from one of the people, and she was like, "No, that's not what happened." And I was like, "Well, where do you think the Japanese people came from?" And she's like, "We came from the sun." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's good." It's just because they're in their mythology, in some like historical. I'm not making fun of this, okay? I'm just saying that let's just separate mythology from actual science fact here. But like in the Japanese mythos, there's like the god came down and descended to Kirishima, on a mountaintop, and that's the. I don't want to get into too many hot topic, gonna get killed if I say these things issues, but there's a lot of people who believe that the Japanese people were the descendants of straight from heaven from God kind of thing. And so it's like, come from the sun basically. Like, and I was just like, okay. And there's like kind of consensus in this Board of Education that like Japanese people, this is 14 years ago, the Japanese people were their own unique species and they have nothing to do with the rest of Asia. Like we did not come from China or from Korea. We are our own thing. And I was like, okay. Now when we know this breaking story, we knew before that the Jomon Jidai, which we've actually mentioned this in joking in the past, Jomon Jidai, which was what, 17,000 years ago, or no, 1,700 years ago, right? The Jomon Jidai period. We know about 13% of the Japanese DNA comes from there. Then another 16% comes from the Yayoi period, which is about 900 BC. So you've got these two giant migrations to Japan. But the vast majority, and we found this out by looking at the DNA of very, very old, long, like, I don't know how to call them corpses, but like basically Japanese people who lived hundreds of years ago. And we saw that 71% of the DNA from there comes from what's known as they came over as it's known as the Kofun period here in Japan. That's like marked by those giant Kofun, what are they called?
Grave tombs. Yeah.
They look like a keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
And this DNA came from basically China.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. We don't want to mix this up. There's like China, the country now, and China, the area. Okay, it's not the same thing. But these are the Han people that originally that came in like this third wave around 300 AD and mixed together with all those other DNA previous inhabitants of the island and became what's known as the Japanese people we know today.
So like that teacher saying people came from the sun, she might have been, she wasn't, but she might have been talking about the fact that we're all made of stardust, man.
Oh my God, dude, you just got super deep.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know this, scientifically speaking, the atoms that make up the human body are produced in the furnace of stars. We're literally made up of stardust.
Yeah, I feel like it now. Yeah, so the kind of the general understanding of this was that the Jomon people, the hunter-gatherer types,
yeah,
and the Yayoi, people who moved into Japan or during the Yayoi period, who brought rice farming, wet rice farming with them, kind of blended together and made the kind of Japanese people as they are. So the kind of longer, slender faces of the kind of rice farming people and the kind of rounder, more tanned skin, heavier set brows and things like that, the Jomon people. You can see that across the regional differences in Japan, apparently. So there's more kind of Jomon-looking features in Kyushu, I heard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is before that this new genetic information came out.
So this, new stuff, it's not particularly surprising to me, that people would come to Japan just from, next door.
Yeah, the thing that's right there, like Korea and China.
Considering they all use the same style of writing and everything as well.
Yeah.
But, for some Japanese people, it might be a bit of a shock. But, yeah. I was having a chat with somebody the other day and they said they were joking and they were going, which Koreans do you like best, North or South? And I was like, I like East Koreans. I call them Japanese. Yeah. So people migrated from Korea, from China, from lots of different places, probably Malaysia, that kind of area as well, up north, and settled here eventually. So.
What are they called? The Ainu. The Ainu people, they were, I'm really going off memory on this one, but they're like an indigenous people that lived in the area, in the islands of Japan. They're basically like I don't know if they were the original people who lived here, but like they have kind of like they're like, I don't want to compare cultures, but they're like an Eskimo kind of like tribal kind of like people.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we can, I don't know if we want to compare them to the American Indians, but something like that, the Ainu people. And so, Inuit, is that what they're called?
Ainu
people.
Inuits.
Inuit.
Ainu. So the Inuits, the Ainu, and the kind of North American, native people and things like that do have some kind of similar background.
Yeah. I'm sure that they do.
Whether that's tribal or whatever, I don't know. But
it just fact checks this.
According to Wikipedia, it says the Ainu people are the natives of Hokkaido.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, Hokkaido, Russia, Alaska, that whole area. cold.
So they like bears a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like, you guys didn't know this, right? You didn't know that they had like these native people. Well, maybe you did. You
I
guys were
knew
smart.
that. Yeah.
I knew that. Did you just make a joke?
Yeah. I went up there actually. I went to Lake Akan to meet some Ainu people.
Yeah.
And, hang out with them. Quite fun.
There was something in the news that they recognize the Ainu people as something. Maybe they gave it a World Heritage Site, something. I don't know, but
I got an Ainu hangover cure. This guy picked it off a tree and mashed it into some tea for me.
Yeah, did it work?
My face went numb. So yeah, guess so.
All right, let's move on. We got another story here. Okay, so this one is I don't know how to feel about this one. Alex, I'm waiting for your reaction on this one. So. There's this World Expo that's happening in 2025, and basically they want to fly people in flying cars from Universal Studios to Umeshima Artificial Island, where the venue of the World Expo is going to be held. And they're like these. You could think of them as being like if you had like a drone, okay, like a those video drones that everybody has now. You enlarge it by about 100 times, and you put a human in it. Okay. That's the technology that we're talking about here. And they're saying that these are much safer than standard helicopters for reasons they don't really say why. And this is a joint venture between its name is Skydive. Is that right? Yeah. Skydrive. Sorry.
Skydive. It's a terrible name.
Skydrive. Sorry, guys. And the city of Osaka and the Osaka prefectures, basically. And they want to. I think these are automated. I don't think that they're. I think they're like remotely controlled. I hope.
So, yeah, self-driving cars are not a thing yet.
They are just not here.
Yeah, that's a reason why that is they've not been adopted properly. But
Well, I don't think. Do you think you could have a self-driving car in Japan? Like humans struggle to understand what's going on the street, and you give that to a car.
Well, I think they could do it, but everybody would need to do it at the same time, right? Because, human in the mix is going to mess things up. So.
Isn't that one of the action scenes from iRobot where, what's his name?
Will Smith.
Will Smith. He's like, I'm going to go manual. And everyone's like, oh my God.
Don't do that. Manual. Yeah.
But I just don't know. Like, I think that on the highways and major thoroughfares in Japan, you could do it. But I think once you get to the Inaka, the countryside,
roads.
I don't think a car should be automated in those areas.
Yeah, man, I was at a cafe today and I could not get out of the car park. Somebody in a Jeep Wrangler parked diagonally in front of the entranceway. So I literally had the width of my car. I had to fold in the mirrors to try and get out. It was a nightmare.
One of my staff has a giant Jeep, and I asked her if she's got truck nuts on her Jeep. She's a Japanese woman, right? She's like, what are truck nuts? Right. And so I'm in the car with my staff, two of which are female. I'm trying to explain to them the concept of truck nuts. And they're like, do you guys have truck nuts in England?
No. It's an American thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a South of America thing.
I can't see flying cars working, man. I mean, that's a short distance from, where is it, Universal Studios to Umeshima.
Yeah.
It's not that far, I don't think. So,
Well, didn't they have robotic cars in the Olympic Island or whatever that was called, the Olympic whatever bubble? And then one of them hit an Olympian.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well done. Because he's got to be moving pretty fast if he's a real Olympian.
Josh, you gotta fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure that it was a Paralympian.
Really?
Maybe I'm mixing stories. Sometimes that happens in my brain. But one of the self-driving cars got into a little bit of a accident. Did you find it?
It says Toyota autonomous bus hits Tokyo Paralympian, taking him out of match.
Really?
Fucking told you, man.
Yeah.
Not only did they hit an Olympian, they hit a Paralympian. It's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it says it was in the athletics village.
Yeah, little bubble that they made. Their COVID-19 bubble.
My God.
Yeah, dude, if you can't get your little completely controlled bubble down, don't put those on the. I mean, in the West, I'm confident that self-driving cars will work in America and probably in England and places like that. Not Asia.
I don't know. It depends on the infrastructure. There's a lot of windy little roads that kind of, one vehicle wide.
Well, will the car know what to do when you've got the Japanese guy waving a baton to tell you not to run into the millions of blinking cones in front of you?
Yeah. What makes me laugh is, was it you that told me the other day there was like a guy with a baton waving it?
Yeah.
To direct the traffic.
Yeah.
And next to him, there was like an automatic robot doing the same thing.
And like I looked at it, dude, and I was just like, you're seeing the automation of your job. Like he's like looking over his shoulder at this robot. Like there goes my job.
I'd love if he kind of flipped out like a Luddite and smashed it with his, glowing stick.
The number of people who know the word Luddite is just seemingly going down because, like, I say this word a lot, and people are like, "What's a Luddite?" I'm like, "How do you not know history?"
Yeah, well, it's from my part of the world, so you know what I mean.
Well, it's still a valid word. So getting back to flying cars, okay. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, everything, the Boring Company, was asked, do you think that we should have flying cars? Because, he wants to put the cars in the ground and have them tunnel, like ants. And he was asked a question like, what do you think about flying cars? He's like, humans can't even do X, Y. Why would you put Z, the third dimension, into it? He's like, everybody's just going to be dying. And I can see that. I don't think humans, I think if it's a fully automated system, flying cars might make sense. The second you give it, like you said, to control to a human, it's not a good idea.
Having said that, though, I mean, if you look at the global network of flights, aeroplanes going around the world, there's an awful lot of planes flying up in the sky with a very, very low rate of collision accident. It's safer than driving.
Yeah.
So, there is an argument for, 3 dimensions of space being safer simply because you've got so much more space.
But that's you have to account for the incredible infrastructure of control that goes behind that and the training.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have a flying car, it's not going to be you driving it.
Yeah.
There's no way that would
happen. If
happen.
it was a centralized computer doing it all, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just don't have that computer run by the agency of, what was it? What was it called? What did they call themselves?
Yeah, the Digitalitor.
Yeah, the digital agency.
Yeah. Or Kagoshima Prefecture with their one Zoom PC. Yeah.
The best part about going into the government offices in Japan is seeing all the Windows XP computers. And you're just like, guys, that was like Windows 7 was also like support for that was like, is gone. Like, what are you guys doing? The security I
wonder if anybody uses Windows ME. That'd be brilliant.
Windows ME, the best one. Dude, I got this video from a friend. It's called the nerdiest 90s video you'll ever see. And it's a bunch of like kind of fat nerds like waiting in front of a Comp USA to get their first copy of Windows 98.
Right.
And then like the news is like, why are you so excited, sir? And like this kind of like, let's just call him an incel, was like, Fat 32, baby. I was just like, oh my God, it's the best video. Guys, we'll maybe link it in the description if I can find it, but it's the best. Speaking of flying, you have a story.
Yeah, sure. So what are we looking at now? Narita Airport.
Yes, my favorite place.
I know Mitch loves Narita Airport, so if you want to find out why, have a look for a video on the riots.
the war for Narita. It's on our channel. Check it out. It's freaking amazing.
So here we got a story. Turtle holds up air traffic at Narita Airport. So apparently there was a turtle found on the international airport runway serving Tokyo, which prevented aircraft from taking off on Friday. And one of the planes that was actually stuck because of this turtle had a turtle design on it as well. So it's like meta as anything else. But, apparently they found the turtle. It's a Hawaiian-style sea green turtle.
It's a Hawaiian-style sea green turtle.
Oh, no, sorry, that's on the fuselage of the plane. Okay.
Not the actual turtle.
It says the turtle was dark green, about 30 centimeters long, and about 2 kilograms in weight. So, apparently it came from a nearby reservoir. So there you go.
So, okay, let's just digest this for a second. First of all, okay, the country that created Mario Kart, right, has a problem. Has a problem with a green turtle shell. Or I guess there's still a turtle in it.
Yeah.
Like causing chaos in the airport.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, one of the airplanes has a giant turtle, Hawaiian-style turtle, written on it.
This would have been even better if it would have been Central Tokyo and Marika, the Mario Kart experience
they got
thing.
Sued.
Yeah, they got sued to death.
Yeah, out of existence.
Yeah, don't mess with Nintendo.
$13 million or something like that they had to pay. If you guys didn't know, like there used to be this tourist attraction in Tokyo, which I thought was amazing and Alex hated.
Yeah, I hated it. Yeah.
It basically, you pay a fee, they give you a Mario Kart outfit, and then they give you an actual Mario Kart, like a street legal go-kart, and you drive around the streets of Tokyo causing havoc wherever you go.
See, before COVID, right, I was up in Tokyo a lot, so I'd go walking around and you'd see these groups of people blazing around in the Mario Kart things, right?
Yeah.
And I was stood at Omotesando crossing once to go over. I think it was Omotesando. And they all just came burning past. And all the Japanese people looked at them going around the corner like, and then they looked at me for some reason. Like, you would like to do this, wouldn't you?
At that point, you should have pulled out a turtle shell.
And I was, just chucked it in the road. And I was like, no, that is not what I want to do.
But there's certain things in Tokyo that I think should remain there. One, the Mario Kart thing. And two, you can pay for your own paparazzi. Have you seen this?
I think I might have done, yeah.
You pay like $1,000 or something like that. And like you get, I think it's 1 hour, you get 2 or 3 guys in suits to follow your white ass around and to pretend like you're some famous Westerner.
Right, okay.
And they like taking all these pictures of you and asking you questions and shit. And so then the locals, they're like, oh my God, who's that guy? And then they pull out their phone and they're taking pictures of you and shit.
There was one in Osaka as well at a theme park, one of these old theme parks, and you could pay for somebody to come and beat you up, like Yakuza type people, to attack you and try and steal your girlfriend, and then you fight back and like knock them out and walk off again.
I can see so many legal problems with that.
I know, yeah. But it was a thing, man. It was on a proper thing, you know.
The reason why I think that there's so many crazy ideas that happen in Japan is the rate of alcoholism here.
Yeah.
Like people, seriously, they probably just like get really, really drunk and you're like, you know what would be a really good idea? And then the next day remember that shit and do it.
It's funny because on one side you've got massive bureaucracy and loads of rules. And on the other side, it's just basically do whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
So... There
are weird places where the Japanese government is just like, we are not concerned about this real big oversight and regulation.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this turtle. How long did it hold up the best airport in Japan?
So it says 5 flights were delayed for up to 15 minutes. And the passengers and crew took off in buoyant mood despite the delay.
Buoyant?
Yeah, buoyant, so they were really happy about it.
Buoyant means like floating, right?
Yeah, like, yay, happy. But, 15 minutes isn't that long anyway.
Yeah.
And if you got an announcement saying a turtle on the runway, I think you'd, be all right with that. I would.
So as long as it's not purposely put there by like the descendants of the people who were like attacking Narita before.
I mean, it could have been bred for that purpose.
Of like screwing up 15 minutes of flights.
It's being slowly released now. There's going to be hundreds of them.
Hundreds of them.
Marching slowly across the runway.
Guys, it's been our news show today. I think that we've covered all the topics this week. I don't think there's anything. Oh, there was one more that we could have gone to, but it was like there's like the royalty thing where the princess is getting married to her boyfriend.
Yes.
I think it's just a princess. And they're like the big news story this week where they've just been on an NHK and whatever all week long is like, they're like the princess and her boyfriend have refused wedding money from the government. And then the government officiates the refusal of wedding money. And you're like, whereas British royalty would be like, gonna pay for everything? That's nice.
No, they wouldn't. They always said they go on about how they're not going to take any cash and, show off about it. So, but the thing is, the difference between UK monarchy and the one in Japan is that the one in the UK is interesting to people in America.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah. But the one
have you watched The Crown?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's all right.
It stole a lot of awards at the Oscars or whatever that award thing was recently.
Yeah, it always does well at the award ceremonies and stuff like that. When it started out, the first series of it, I spoke to some people who worked at Buckingham Palace and asked them if it was accurate or not. And they said, it's kind of accurate. It's obviously a fiction, but it's kind of there. So they said it's pretty interesting to see parts of Buckingham Palace featured in it as well. So they actually were watching it, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then I don't know about the later seasons. I think it's gone off the rails a little bit. But,
is this like Japanese Yakuza where the actual Yakuza in Japan were watching the Yakuza movies and then art imitates life, imitates art. Yeah. So the Yakuza in Japan started dressing like the Yakuza in the movies.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
They're like, oh, that looks cool. Let's do that from now on.
Yeah.
But anyway, I honestly don't know anything about Japanese royalty. Every time people talk about it, I know 2 things. 1, I'm not interested, and 2, I shouldn't say anything about it.
Well, it's serious, isn't it? It's always serious, and
well, it's because the people who care about it are the ones that care about it too much.
Yeah.
Generally, no one gives a shit except for the ones that really, really care about it because it's like religious to them, right? And you're just like, I'm not touching that. You have whatever views you want on whatever, and I don't care. I don't even know their names. I actually don't even know the name of the new emperor.
No, I don't either, actually.
Probably
think of it. Mind you, most people don't.
I don't know, like some people who are really not interested in politics just don't pay attention to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not interested whatsoever in royalty. Like, I don't know. I get it in England. It's like a tourist attraction. And I mean, both weddings of the two boys, whatever their names are, were like huge international like media sensations. I think they got better ratings than the Olympics or whatever. Right. So I get that. But aside from that, like, what is royalty good for?
Well, it's like a cult of celebrity, but with culture attached to it.
So in America, we don't have the celebrity. We just have like the Britney Spears people.
Yeah.
Which we like to destroy their lives using, paparazzi. Dude, I couldn't believe how aggressive paparazzi can be. Like, you watch like the behind the scenes of the paparazzi videos, you're like, wow, that's really like, that should be illegal.
Yeah. Well, they've got to get the shots right, Yeah,
go home, get your little $5 or whatever for the picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's been our show today, guys. We've been talking about flying cars, turtles, and Domon Jedi.
DNA.
If you guys like today's show, leave us a comment. If you guys have suggestions for future news topics or whatever, let us know. One of the comments from, I think, last week's show was to talk about LGBTQ issues in Japan. I think we might do a show on that in the coming future. But whatever you guys want us to talk about, let us know in the comments. And give us a like, give us a share if you enjoyed today's show. See you guys next week.
We're all star people. Goodbye.